From the fast action of the trading pit to the power brokers making the headlines, you'll hear it all on the Traders Network Show with your host, Michael Yorba. Michael interviews the front page titans about the latest in trading tools and market trends in stocks, commodities, bonds, forex, and derivatives. The Traders Network helps you stay ahead of the curve and delivers tomorrow's trade today. Now, here's your host, Michael Yorba.
Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. Broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 iHeart Media Studios and worldwide through yorbamedia.com. All right, first guest on the show today, Craig McBurney, CEO, Remain Home Solutions. Craig's a pretty accomplished entrepreneur. He's got decades of experience in the construction industry and home improvement space, but he put a little twist on this, and he's got something that every person of a certain age, and most of the people listening to this show, are mature in nature, and they've got either somebody that needs a solution or is soon to need the solution. Craig, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, my pleasure. All right, Craig, I just gave a brief overview of your background. I wanted to leave it kind of a tantalizing tease for the audience about what Remain at Home Solutions does, but you've got some background in this industry sector. You were in the construction industry and home improvement space, and then you moved over into the space that you're currently occupying and breaking new barriers in this segment. So let's open that up. Give us a little background on you, and let's get right into Remain Home Solutions, what they do.
Sure. I was involved for, you've got a financial audience, so many of the listeners are familiar with when spreads, market makers had 50-cent spreads, and then online trading came and kind of broke that all apart. So this is another sort of massive disintermediation of a huge industry. What's happening in our space is the home is becoming the clinic. As healthcare systems get rebuilt around the country, and payment reimbursement models change, and all the elements within the Affordable Care Act, come to bear, we're shifting to this sort of value-based reimbursement model. So it really matters now, to the bottom line, to healthcare systems, the condition of the home environment when people are discharged. As we move from a fee-for-service model and discharge people into homes that are unsafe, or they can't live independently, or unhealthy air quality or whatever it is, they're getting readmitted. And so many listeners probably have heard about readmission penalties and things like that. But we're still in construction, if you will, a specialty niche kind of accessible design and remodeling of homes to allow people to safely transition home. But we're kind of merging the healthcare piece as reimbursement evolves to start paying for this stuff.
Okay, well, let me back up just a little bit and make sure that we're hitting all the cylinders here on this. You have a company that helps people stay in their home who normally would have to be in a rest home or retirement home. What's the current, really politically correct way to say that? But that's the message, right?
Well, it is. And so as the healthcare system shifts to prevention and wellness, which is a good thing for society as a whole, but you've got to prevent falls. You've got to prevent bad things from happening. And so we will, prior to somebody falling, for example, we advocate having home safety assessments, and it's just common sense stuff. Installing grab bars, getting tubs out of the way, putting in low barrier entry showers, things like that.
Right. So they don't work with all the old obstacles and mechanisms that they could trip on before. You go in and you modify the house so that the people can be more comfortable staying in the home instead of having to go into a care center to prevent them from injuring themselves or people coming in and actually just being shoveled off to the old folks home, right?
And a lot of bad things happen, because typically seniors aren't going to talk about needing things, and so they may there's a psychological fear of falling. They may have never fallen, but heard of a friend who fell, and they might be osteoporotic or and so they didn't heal very well, and so they weren't able to go home. They hear about that, and so they start self-isolating and having less physical activity and seeing friends less. And so there's all sorts of behavioral, mental health issues and frailties that can develop for no reason at all other than psychological. So that's the all before the fall kind of stuff. And we're just talking about falls, but there's other things. Now, after the fall, you get EMS comes and picks you up. They take you to the ER. The ER fixes you up. They send you to skilled nursing or rehab. So $500,000 later to the system, which is us as taxpayers and everybody else, and a huge crisis for the family, they're discharged into the very same unsafe home environment that they came from. And so our integration with healthcare, since now healthcare systems care, payers care, financial risk, what we used to do and what we've invented is a new way to do it at scale, which we used to drive to the house like a typical contractor, take the pictures, measure the room, go back, do the estimate, go back to the house, back and forth. Well, I can drive to 3 houses a day. Or with the applications that we've built, we can assess 300 homes a day. And so the caregiver family member downloads our application, goes to the problem areas of the home, takes some pictures, they stream into our office, we scope the job, and then put it into, here's the invention and new standard of care, is they put it into the care plan. So as the discharge planners at hospitals who now care about a safe home environment can have those conversations ahead of time. While they're in rehab, the house can get fixed. The platform lift could get installed. The ramp could get built. And those things there, if you've ever been in a hospital and had these conversations about where mom's going to go, it goes something like that. It's like, well, mom can't get home. Okay, she's got to go somewhere else, and maybe we'll figure it out. So there's all over America today, there's people that are about to be discharged that, but for a home environment that's suitable to them and they're completing their activities of daily living, they're going to end up in $7,000 a month institutional care.
Now, when you're talking about retrofitting somebody's home so that when they come home, it's safer, it's more convenient for them to get around, and for even the caretaker to get around with them, you're talking about doing this in a non-invasive way. Because usually, there's a crew that comes out and they start measuring and taking pictures and all this stuff. But you do it a little bit less invasive than most people, right?
Yeah, the word. I was actually thinking of something else when you said invasive. But so there's two things to your first point. We do it at scale. So the limitation. These aren't we haven't reinvented common sense. I mean, but to do these things at scale was difficult. There's only so many people in the country that have expertise in, accessible modifications and ADA type stuff, which, doesn't apply to residential, but it's essentially similar design. So there isn't enough of us or enough occupational therapists to go to these homes that are qualified to do these assessments, the old way, driving to the house. But as every business becomes mobilized, we've done the same thing. And so this resource constraint gap, we've used technology like all kinds of industries have to solve that problem. All we need, like for example, in our application, when people are taking the pictures, we're getting dimensions of the room. So it's just like a lawn maintenance company or a roofer. You call to get a new roof or your lawn fertilized, and you're on the phone with the call center somewhere in Nebraska, and they're looking at Google Earth within a couple seconds of you calling at your house, and they're giving you an estimate. And so they're not driving to the house either until it's time to do that. I don't know if it's less invasive, but it's just a way to make it more convenient for people to access these services. The other part of it was around universal design. So universal design is, I would say obtrusive. I mean, people think, I don't want my house looking like a hospital bathroom. Well, there's all sorts of design resources and products now where you could have a European wet floor, a beautiful stone travertine bathroom, which is, completely accessible and safe without a slippery tub to step into, but you wouldn't know that it was, ADA available.
Now, tell everybody what ADA means.
Okay, so American Disabilities Act applies to, commercial, institutional facilities, multifamily, but when the law was passed, doesn't apply to residential. Although the design specifications, like 1/12 slope for wheelchair ramps and a whole range of things, turning radiuses for wheelchairs, those are just good design specifications that now that the country's aging, these things apply to houses.
Right. Now, we got about 2 minutes left in the conversation, actually about a minute left. When we come back on the other side of the break, what I would like to talk with you, Craig, is this. I wanted to talk about, the Affordable Care Act, how this fits with you versus investors, because we got about 30 million homes, that seniors are going to be transitioning into. That's a marketplace. I mean, that's a penetratable marketplace where, there is significant growth for investment with people that are ahead of the curve technology and also a way to deliver it, right?
Yep. I mean, a quick point to make is, our defense budget is $600 billion a year. Healthcare is just behind that. Just public payers, $600 million a year, and all of that money is changing the way that it's about to get spent. That's not including private payers or long-term care insurance companies. So it's a massive rebuilding of 20% of the GDP of the country.
Wow. All right, Craig, let's talk about all that and the investment side of this on the other side of the break, all right?
Great.
All right, we'll be right back with Craig McBurney, CEO, Remain Home Solutions. Web address, remainhomesolutions.com. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement to stock market risk? Call 866-555-SAFE for your free Safe Money book and join Brady Spears and Chris Novinger for the Retirement Experts Radio Show every Saturday at 9 a.m. here on 1190 a.m.
I'm Dr. James, founder of Diamond Physicians, a concierge medicine practice located in Dallas, Texas. Our Diamond 360 Advanced Physical Exam has been created for people like you who live a high-stress, fast-paced life. Every 40 seconds, someone in the U.S. experiences a life-changing heart attack or debilitating stroke. Negative stress tests and normal cholesterol levels do not exclude you. Half of all fatal heart attacks occur without warning. Diamond goes beyond traditional medicine with the Diamond 360 Advanced Physical Exam. Proven to prevent heart attacks, strokes, and diabetes. Contact Diamond now at 214-395-3491. That's 214-395-3491. Or visit our website at diamondphysicians.com to take the Diamond Challenge. If your Diamond 360 reveals perfect health, receive a full refund. Your loved ones will thank you.
We know it's not easy dealing with a loved one who drinks too much, but there's help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups. For a meeting near you, call 1-888-4-AL-ANON. That's 1-888-425-2666.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage and $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-862-8376. That's 1-800-862-8376. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-800-862-8376 or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember, 1-800-862-8376. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
This is an announcement for all people who want to take a risk-free challenge to whiten their teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, or smoking. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes to see how white your smile could be. If lines are busy, try again. Dial 1-800-663-6095. That's 1-800-663-6095. 1-800-663-6095.
VTJ Consulting was founded specifically to consult with accredited investors on how best to manage their oil and gas investments. The emphasis is not only on direct participation in drilling projects, but includes opportunities in the purchasing of oil rigs, service and equipment companies, real estate and or the purchase of royalty interest through lease pooling. This strategy further mitigates risk and spreads their clients' investments over the entire sector whenever possible. For more information, call 469-518-5008 or info@btjconsulting.com. 469-518-5008 or info@btjconsulting.com. That's 469-518-5008 or info@btjconsulting.com. And tell them Yorba sent you.
Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. Broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM iHeart Media Studios and worldwide through yorbamedia.com. All right, I've got Craig McBurney on the show with Remain Home Solutions. He's the CEO. We're talking about modifying houses. This is a specialty company that modifies houses for people who have injuries or are aged and trying to get them back into the home instead of leaving them in a off location, if you will, care center. And he's breaking ground, but this is an emerging sector that is he's really going after. There's like over 30 million homes that are going to have to go through this process one way or another, whether somebody does it who's, cousin Louie, or you actually hire a professional who can make sure it's done the right way. So Craig, let's get back into that. Talk to us, if you will, today about the investment side of this. What's going on? What are the opportunities there, and where are we going with you in that market sector?
Sure. The kind of a lot of information real quick here from a macro perspective first. So, there's a lot of obviously political noise around the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, depending on one's political affiliation. But basically, the investors are missing incredible and significant opportunities to benefit from this. This is just all this is massive change. And a couple of between the lines sort of points here. Just a few months ago, HHS basically comes out and says, we're going to fundamentally reform how it pays providers for treating Medicare patients. So they're the biggest payer. The Affordable Care Act could be repealed in the Supreme Court in a couple of months, and it wouldn't matter. The CMS writes the checks. They make the rules, and they're going to start paying people a different way. And this is, in terms of speaking to the macro change. The intent is to cut down on the volume of unnecessary procedures while improving patient outcomes. The models will depend on, how well they take care of patients instead of how much care they provide. So what does all that mean between the lines? Well, it means that there's going to be a different measurement of how patients are, and providers are reimbursed. That's a lot of change in a lot of healthcare systems. So there's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of companies that are looking at this space from a health analytics perspective, and EHR perspective, and just in Houston alone and Dallas, there's early stage opportunities on that sort of going to the micro level. There's a Wildcatters, which is a health incubator group, Houston Health Ventures. There's a brand new big accelerator. The Texas Medical Center just launched another one. There's, I don't know, the last count, 60, 70 digital health tech incubators around the country that are seeding and helping small companies help drive this change. And so that's sort of we're just one of them that's, helping, when you speak about the house. So our generation, or the 80-year-olds we've cured a lot of heart disease and cancer and all those other things. So this aging generation, 80 to 90-year-olds, are really the first generation that are going to be dying of brain diseases. We didn't really have that before. So there's all sorts of issues around memory care that's super expensive institutionally, but with technology, people are able to, age in place safely in the home. And so there's just, within this massive change and dislocation, there's opportunities at early stage seed, mezz around, and even, publicly traded companies that have recently come out.
Well, in that industry sector, again, on the investment level side, what are you seeing as emerging trends in your sector? Where pockets of opportunities are now? Because you mentioned these incubators, where they are, and where do you think the big investments are going to be getting paid off as we go forward?
Well, so this year is all about population health. So there's lots of new companies that have spun up in that space that are trying to supplement lay on top of electronic health record systems. So there's a whole range of companies there that are getting funded. Probably one of the best resources is radio, so it's hard for people to remember a bunch of stuff. But so rockhealth.com, and so here's a picture. The past 4 years, venture funding alone in digital health companies surpassed $4 billion. In this year, that's equivalent to the past 3 years. So just this 2014 had $4 billion, 2011 $1 billion, then 1.5 in 2012, then 1.8 in 2013. So the amount of money flooding in just to the startup space. They could at our website remainhomesolutions.co, not .com, .co. If someone sends me an email, I can send you a list for the various incubators around the country where people could track all this stuff. But at Rock Health, they have probably the most sophisticated and comprehensive database that can allow people to see the early stage stuff, and then they can track these companies. HealthBox is another one, and there are several others.
Okay, so and with what you're doing with your company, Remain Home Solutions or remainhomesolutions.co. Thanks for correcting me on that. Where are you seeing the big milestones as we go forward with what you in particular are doing?
So our advocacy to sort of drive our scaling is around talking to healthcare systems, specifically discharge planners, case managers, that we can even provide this data into their care transition plan. And so we're now after we built our technology and we've got our sort of infrastructure in place, we've targeted a couple key healthcare markets for a variety of reasons to work to begin integrating into their care transition plans. So we've got to make them aware that there's a new standard of care. I mean, today our view is that because the health care transition folks and team can know the condition of the home and can actually get funded the modifications prior to discharge, it's bad medicine today to discharge somebody into an unsafe home environment. And they have no interest in doing that, especially now that they're being penalized for a lot of preventable readmissions. So our focus now is to drive awareness that we believe that every discharge in America of a senior who is at risk, maybe the risk factors are they've had a bone density scan or they haven't fallen, but because they're osteoporotic, if they do fall, it's catastrophic because they're not going to heal. So, we're also working behind the scenes to speak with payers and accountable care organizations, which is another element of the law, to say, look, let's use data mining, predictive analytics to figure out who in your patient population or census is at most risk of falling, and then let's do some sort of interventional, preventional sort of modifications to help them convalesce at home better.
Where is your market these days, and where do you think it's going to go?
Well, so there's a couple of sub markets. So, for example, today, where's the reimbursement? That's always the question. So how do you get paid? 80% of the people in this country can't afford an $8,000 chairlift, or they can't afford these modifications, and so we're trying to help drive using technology again to help find the grants to pay for this stuff. So, for example, the VA has 3 grant programs already established, been around for a while. $65, or I think it's up to $74,000 now if you're 90% disabled, and then there's other grants below that for these modifications. So to answer your question that way, it's we're focusing on where is money available today to do these things, and so that can be in rural settings. If you're in a rural census district, for example, there's all kinds of money from the USDA Residential Rehabilitation Grant Program, and that's sort of the old way to do that, and why we've used technology again here to do this at scale is sort of linear social work. So a person has a need, one person starts making phone calls to an area aging officer, whatever. But all that stuff is database, and so when people engage with our application, at the beginning of the app it says, you're going to go around your house, you're going to take some pictures, we're going to help you design a modification. But if you'd like to see how the job might be paid for by others, put in your payer information, your zip code, and all that. And so we're also helping find the money to pay for these modifications.
Now, there is a big plus on this. We got about 2 minutes left in the conversation that we're having with each other today. Parting words on how you're helping people and how they can reach you.
Well, we're helping. So it's a crisis if an aging parent sort of living alone falls. Just I keep coming back to falls, but so that creates problems for everyone across the country. And our strongest message is assess the home and take care of some basic things to try to prevent these things from happening. And then there's all sorts of other proactive stuff that people can do to connect with their aging parents. And stay connected with them. There's a whole range of technologies that people can learn about there. We advocate this prevention piece first. They can reach us through the website. That's probably the best way. My email is there, phone number. They can get the application there and, start the process.
All right. Craig, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time, and thanks for what you're doing for humanity.
Hey, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Craig McBurney, CEO, Remain Home Solutions. On the other side of this break, we're going to come back with Sagar Govil, Chairman, CEO, Semtex, and we're going to move into the high-tech side of the world. We'll be right back.